Hello again, this is Seamus. My last video I went over these humpback motors to check them out to make sure that they run electrically. I did not go over replacing the bottom plate, the roller pickup, and the wire. As you can see, this wire coming from the roller plate, the pickups, is all destroyed. They get like that, the insulation breaks off and they're going to short. So you really got to replace that wire. I do it with this tool here. It's a snap ring plier. It's just a pair of pliers that when you squeeze they open instead of the other normal pliers. So let me show you what I do here. You got to be very careful because sometimes these fiber plates are really old and they can crack too. This one looks in pretty good shape. So the first thing I do is I put my snap ring pliers in the end here and I pry the plates apart, and then you could just pick out one side at a time. You see there's a slot here and you got to get it out of those 3 slots. So I got that one up. Now I'm going to do the other side. Pull that one up a little bit. They can be tough. Try not to pull the whole thing apart. Okay. Go back to this one, make sure that this is completely out. And then I do the middle. You might need the aid of something else to pry it out, like a small screwdriver or something. But you can usually pick it out. There you go. And there it is. It is out. Alright, I set this thing up in a small vise. You don't want to break anything, so don't make the vise too tight. But I'm using a 40-watt iron here because it's a pretty big dab of solder. Just heat it up. 2 pliers, and there you go. All out. Okay. Now I am going to solder in a new wire. This is 24 solid gauge. I like using solid gauge on these, even though the stranded is a lot more flexible. But this I find easier when I have to put it through screws and stuff like that. So I am just gonna heat this up and put my new piece of wire in there. Make sure it's nice and hot. And there you go. Okay, let's try to put this back together. I've cleaned up the tabs a little bit. As you can see better now, there are 3 tabs there on each side. Now you got to make sure you put the wire here so it's not rubbing against the axle or anything. So I'm going to thread it through there and try to line up my slots. Those 3 tabs go into those slots. And I am going to take my snap ring pliers and open it up again and push it down. Get my screwdriver. Make sure it's ready to go into that slot. It can be a little bit tricky, but you can get it in there eventually. Go to the other side now. We'll do the same thing. Okay, that's the two ends. Now we got to try to get the middle in here. Got a screwdriver sometimes here. There you go. Really got to try not to damage this plate. I've damaged a few in my time, believe me. As long as you get it started, you should be able to just tap it down in there. Like so. Alright, and there it is. Okay, while I'm at it, I am going to replace this other wire that's pretty damaged. This is the end of the stationary coil wire, and I'm using a smaller iron here. This fits through a hole. This is only a 15-watt iron. You got to sort of play with it to get that out. Goes through a little hole. Okay, we got that out. Okay, I've taken a piece of 24 gauge solid wire and I slipped it through the hole and turned it back on itself. And this is a 15-watt soldering iron. The 40 is a little bit too heavy for this type of work. Get it nice and hot. I'm not the greatest solderer, but you'll be able to get it in there and let it cool. And now we have a new wire there. Just make sure you don't short it out against the metal piece there. Okay, so this is the final product. I have my pickup roller plate in. Now let's check this and make sure that it runs. If you remember from my previous video about the sequence of the way these wires are hooked up, I am going to hook my transformer up to my roller. Now that I have it connected, it's coming from this roller plate. That's the red wire going to the blue wire, which is going to one of the brushes, through the armature, out of the other brush on the yellow wire, to the stationary coil wire, which is the black one, and then out through the ground, back to the transformer. And there you go, you see the armature spinning. Sounds nice and smooth. Alright, so that's it. Now, I just wanted to go over, before I close this video out, of a couple of things you might see on these. You see, this is all soldered, this roller, and you know, you might be able to do that. It might work and everything, but certain parts houses, Henning's Trains come to mind, and Jeff at the Train Tender is another one, and they sell a complete bottom that you can buy. And if you want to get adventurous, you could actually go to your old one, and if you have this plate, you could drill out these rivets and take this little Lionel plate and mount it on there. And they also sell the rivets that you can re-rivet that plate on there, and it'll look really nice. One other thing that I have done, I haven't done it too often, but I find that sometimes these rollers have such a bad groove in it that they don't run very well. One of the things you can do is you can grind out the rivet here and pull that out, and certain places sell rollers like this. You can open the up a little bit and slip that roller in and tighten it down, and that'll help you also. One other thing I did want to mention is there are also places on the internet that will help you. One comes to mind that I joined, and I think you should also. It's if you're interested in trains. It's called Old Gauge Railroading. They have a very good forum with a lot of people that will help you. Just join, go in there, ask your question, and more than likely a few people will get back to you, and they will give you help on all sorts of things questions you might have about trains. So that's it for now, and hopefully in my next video I can go into the mechanical aspects of getting your trains to run again. So long.